I'm a 28-year-old man, and I recently stumbled upon something that shook me to my core. My ex-wife, who's 27, had an OnlyFans account. Our marriage ended in divorce after she was caught matching with other men on Tinder. At that time, she swore up and down that she never did anything beyond downloading the app. She claimed she only used Tinder to see if other men found her attractive, and that it was just an innocent ego boost. Despite the hurt and betrayal, I wanted to believe her. But almost a year later, I discovered something that shattered any remaining trust I had in her. It all started innocently enough one evening as I was scrolling through Reddit. I stumbled upon a second account that looked eerily similar to her usual online handle, but I had never seen it before. At first glance, it seemed inactive, with no posts or significant activity. But something about it felt off, like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. Out of curiosity, I decided to investigate further. I began examining the few comments she had left on various posts. To my surprise, many of the comments were labeled "deleted by user," which immediately piqued my interest. Why would she go to such lengths to delete her comments? My curiosity got the better of me, and I delved deeper into this mysterious account. As I scrolled through the comments, a pattern began to emerge. Many of the deleted comments contained links to an OnlyFans account. My heart sank. Could this really be her? I felt a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and a deep sense of betrayal. I clicked on the links, and my worst fears were confirmed. She had been posting nude photos and videos of herself, not only during our marriage, but also after we separated. I needed to be sure, so I copied some of the links and threw them into the Wayback Machine. What I found left me speechless. The archived pages showed explicit photos and videos, with dates that spanned months before and after our divorce. It was like a punch to the gut. Not only had she been lying about her activities on Tinder, but she had also been involved in something much more secretive and hurtful. The pain of this discovery was almost unbearable. Adding salt to the wound, I found comments she had made on other men's posts, expressing her desire for them to do things to her. These were not just random comments. They were detailed and explicit. It felt like a betrayal all over again, and I couldn't help but wonder how much of our marriage had been a lie. But the real twist came one night when I decided to check her phone. She had left it unlocked while she was in the shower, and I couldn't resist the urge to look. My heart pounded in my chest as I navigated to her WhatsApp messages. There, I found a conversation with a man whose name I didn't recognize. The chat history revealed that he had been asking her to send him hot photos, and she had complied eagerly. My blood ran cold as I scrolled through countless pictures. She had sent him, some of them identical to the ones I had found on her OnlyFans, others even more explicit. The timestamps on the messages and photos were damning. They confirmed that she had been sending these photos while we were still married, and even after we had separated. The realization hit me like a freight train. She had been living a double life, deceiving me at every turn. The man in the conversation had complimented her, flirted with her, and she had reciprocated with enthusiasm. Their exchanges were intimate, filled with promises and fantasies. I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak as I put her phone back where I found it. Confronting her about this new discovery was out of the question. It wouldn't change anything. Instead, I had to accept the painful truth that our marriage had been built on lies. Reflecting on our relationship, I remembered how we met and fell in love. It was a whirlwind romance, full of passion and excitement. We seemed perfect for each other, complementing each other's strengths and weaknesses. We got married after 2 years of dating, and I thought I had found my soulmate. The first few years of our marriage were blissful, or so I thought. We traveled together, shared dreams and ambitions, and supported each other through thick and thin. However, cracks started to appear about a year into our marriage. She became more distant, spending increasing amounts of time on her phone or computer. I noticed her mood swings and irritability, but dismissed them as stress from her job. She assured me everything was fine, and I wanted to believe her. But deep down, I sensed something was wrong. Then came the day I discovered her Tinder profile. I remember that day vividly. I was cleaning the house when her phone buzzed with a notification. Curiosity got the better of me, and I checked her phone, something I had never done before. There it was, a Tinder match notification. My heart dropped. I confronted her immediately, and she broke down in tears, swearing she had only downloaded the app to see if other men found her attractive. She promised she had never met up with anyone or done anything physical. Despite my doubts, I chose to believe her and tried to move past it. But the discovery of her OnlyFans account and the WhatsApp conversations painted a different picture. It was clear she had been seeking validation and attention from other men in the most intimate ways possible. The man she was chatting with on WhatsApp seemed to know her better than I did. Their conversations were filled with inside jokes, personal details, and plans to meet up. It was evident this wasn't just a casual fling. It was an emotional and physical affair. I remember the night I found those messages. It was late, and I couldn't sleep. She had gone to bed early, claiming she was exhausted from work. As I lay there, my mind racing, I noticed her phone on the nightstand. It was unlocked, and for a moment, I hesitated. But the need to know the truth was too strong. I picked up her phone and began scrolling through her messages. The conversation with this man was like a punch to the gut. They had been talking for months, sharing everything from mundane daily updates to explicit photos and fantasies. Reading those messages was like reliving the betrayal all over again. Each photo she sent him was like a dagger to my heart. I couldn't believe the woman I had loved and trusted had been doing this behind my back. I felt a mix of rage, sorrow, and a profound sense of loss. Our marriage had been built on lies, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered trust. In the days that followed, I struggled to come to terms with what I had discovered. I couldn't eat, sleep, or focus on anything. The images and messages haunted me, playing on a loop in my mind. I realized that I had to confront her, not to accuse or blame, but to find closure and move on. When I finally gathered the courage to talk to her, she was defensive at first. But as I laid out the evidence, her demeanor changed. She confessed to everything, admitting that she had been seeking validation and excitement outside our marriage. She apologized, but her words felt hollow. The damage was done, and there was no going back. I filed for divorce shortly after. The process was long and painful, but it was the only way to start healing. I distanced myself from her and focused on rebuilding my life. It wasn't easy. Trusting someone again seemed impossible, and I found myself questioning every relationship in my life. But over time, I started to heal. I sought therapy, which helped me understand and process my emotions. I leaned on friends and family for support, and gradually, I began to rediscover myself. I realized that I had lost a part of myself in that marriage, and it was time to reclaim it. Reflecting on the entire ordeal, I learned valuable lessons about trust, honesty, and self-worth. I understood that my ex-wife's actions were not a reflection of my inadequacy, but her insecurities and need for validation. I realized that I deserved better someone who would respect and value me as much as I did them. As I moved forward, I became more cautious but also more confident. I knew what I wanted in a relationship and was determined not to settle for anything less. The experience had scarred me, but it had also made me stronger. In the end, I realized that some questions would remain unanswered, and some wounds might never fully heal. But I was determined to learn from this experience and rebuild my life with honesty and trust at its core. The journey was painful, but it also paved the way for a new beginning, and for that, I was grateful. Now let's move to another real cheating story, sent by one of our viewers. She is not yours, it was just your turn. That's how I feel after discovering my girlfriend had been sleeping with 2 other guys while we were dating, during a few months when I had to go home. This revelation tore through me like a hurricane, leaving a path of emotional destruction in its wake. Our relationship started like any other. We met at a friend's party, our eyes locking across the room, and there was an instant connection. Her name was Lisa. She was beautiful, smart, and funny. We clicked immediately, and before long, we were spending most of our time together. We shared secrets, dreams, and hopes for the future. I thought we had something real, something special. Our first year together was blissful. We traveled, explored new places, and created countless memories. We talked about our future, about moving in together, about what our life would look like. Everything seemed perfect until I had to go home for a few months due to family reasons. It was unexpected and unavoidable. Lisa seemed understanding and supportive, promising we would make it work. We tried to keep the flame alive despite the distance. We had video calls, sent each other texts and pictures, and tried to maintain our connection. But gradually, I noticed a change in Lisa. She became distant, her responses more sporadic and less enthusiastic. I attributed it to the strain of long-distance relationships, believing that once I returned, everything would go back to normal. One night, Lisa called me crying. It was her birthday, and she felt lonely. She asked if we could order wine online and have a virtual date. I wanted to make her feel special, so I arranged for a delivery of wine and chocolates to her place. We spent the evening drinking and talking, trying to bridge the miles between us. That night, I went to bed with a sense of satisfaction, thinking I had managed to make her feel loved despite the distance. Little did I know that while I was comforting her, she was seeking solace in someone else's arms. She had drunk, unprotected sex with one of her friends that same night. I found this out 9 months later when she came back into my life, seeking attention and disclosing all her relationships since we broke up, including that night. She casually mentioned it while we were talking, as if it were a trivial detail. The revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. The hurt and betrayal were overwhelming. I could understand and accept that she moved on after we broke up, but discovering that she had cheated on me while I was trying to make her birthday special was something I couldn't forgive. During those months apart, I often thought about Lisa. I missed her, and our sexting conversations made me believe she missed me too. She would send messages like, "I need some love. I am missing sex with you," and I would reciprocate, thinking we were both longing for the same thing. It was a cruel irony that while I was yearning for her, she was finding comfort elsewhere. The night she confessed, we were sitting in my living room. She had come over under the pretense of wanting to catch up. We talked about what had happened since we broke up, and then she dropped the bombshell about her birthday. My heart sank, and a wave of nausea washed over me. I felt betrayed, foolish, and used. I tried to keep my composure, but the pain was too raw. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked, my voice trembling. She shrugged, looking nonchalant. "I thought you should know." "Should know?" I repeated, incredulous. "Why? What good does this do now?" "I don't know," she admitted. "I just thought it was fair to be honest with you." Her words felt hollow. Honesty would have been telling me back then, not 9 months later when it no longer mattered. It felt like she was trying to absolve herself of guilt by unloading it onto me. We sat in silence for a while, the weight of her confession hanging heavily in the air. I replayed the night of her birthday in my mind, the effort I put in to make her feel special, and how she repaid me. The betrayal stung deeply, and I couldn't shake the image of her with someone else while I was thinking about her. "I can't forgive you for that," I finally said, breaking the silence. She looked at me, a mixture of surprise and disappointment on her face. "I understand," she replied softly. "I didn't expect you to." After she left, I sat alone in my apartment, trying to process everything. The feelings of betrayal and anger were overwhelming. I felt like a fool for believing she was lonely and needed me while she was with someone else. The pain of her infidelity was compounded by the fact that she chose to tell me so long after it happened, as if it were a trivial detail. Days turned into weeks, and the hurt gradually transformed into a numbness. I went through the motions of life, but my trust in people was shattered. I couldn't help but question everything about our relationship. How long had she been seeing other guys? Was anything she told me true? These questions haunted me, and I found it hard to move on. Friends and family tried to console me, but their words felt empty. They told me I deserved better, that she wasn't worth the pain. While their intentions were good, it didn't alleviate the sense of betrayal I felt. I had invested so much in our relationship, only to have it crumble in the most painful way. In the months that followed, I tried to focus on myself. I threw myself into work, picked up new hobbies, and spent more time with friends. I hoped that keeping busy would help me heal. I even tried dating again, but the scars left by Lisa's betrayal made it hard to trust anyone. Every time I felt a connection with someone new, doubts crept in, and I questioned their sincerity. One day, I decided to write about my experience. I sat down with my laptop and began typing, pouring out my emotions and recounting every painful detail. Writing became a form of therapy for me. It allowed me to process my feelings and confront the pain head-on. As the words flowed, I started to gain some clarity. I realized that Lisa's actions were a reflection of her character, not mine. She chose to betray me, and that was on her. It wasn't my fault that she couldn't stay faithful. This realization was a small step towards healing, but it was an important one. As I continued to write, I began to reflect on the positive aspects of my life. I had friends and family who cared about me, a job I enjoyed, and opportunities for new experiences. I decided to focus on these positives and rebuild my life. Months turned into a year, and slowly, the pain began to fade. I learned to trust again, though it wasn't easy. I met new people, formed new relationships, and started to believe in love once more. The scars of betrayal remained, but they no longer defined me. Lisa's betrayal taught me valuable lessons about trust and self-worth. I learned that I deserved someone who valued and respected me, someone who would be faithful even in difficult times. It took time, but I eventually found that person. We met through mutual friends, and our connection was genuine and strong. When I look back on my time with Lisa, it's with a mixture of sadness and gratitude. Sadness for the pain and betrayal I experienced, but gratitude for the lessons I learned. Her actions forced me to confront my own vulnerabilities and grow stronger as a result. In the end, I realized that she was not mine. It was just my turn. And when my turn ended, it opened the door to a new chapter in my life, one where I found true happiness and genuine love.